Okay, so let's talk about Deno. I heard about Deno about a year ago, a little beyond that maybe 9 months ago, and I got excited. I heard this is like the next big thing in the Node world. And if you haven't noticed, right? Oh gee, they just swapped the letters around, well they did, right? So Node.js is kind of near the top right now. Some people say it's the most important kid in the block. 90% of Fortune 500 companies use Node.js regularly. Most loved framework of developers. Second most demanded skill. And it's growing. But I think that is going to shift over to Deno. I'll talk about why that is and why that's going to be such an easy shift. But first, let's talk about exactly what is Node. So, Node was created by a guy named Ryan Dahl, a math guy that got into programming because he wanted to be a little bit more hands-on. It's just the math stuff. Project was started in 2009. And what Node is ultimately, most of you probably know this is already going to be here, it's JavaScript that runs not in the browser, but instead on the server side, right? That's what Node is. Written in C++. It uses Google's V8 engine. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. One of the big things Node has to do is interpret the actions of the JavaScript language. And just like the Chrome browser, and now actually the Microsoft browsers as well, and pretty much everybody else, they just simply use the V8 engine to process that JavaScript. But a process has to take place to take the non-JavaScript pieces and interpret them before they push them into the V8 engine to actually be run. So that's what Node is. And who here, is anyone here, by raise of hand, not heard of NPM? Okay, we're going to joke about it later on. NPM, Node Package Manager, that's how we load things, usually off of GitHub, into our system to make it work, right? One of the issues though is, we'll talk about what this is a little later, is Node does not have a secure sandbox environment. When you run Node, whatever privileges the account that starts Node, normally the root account on a server, that's the level of privilege Node has for the entire server. Kind of a big security hole. So what is Deno? Deno has a cool logo, and I think that's updated several times. I think they're playing with the idea, but obviously a little Deno. Well, gee, this looks familiar. Created by Ryan Dahl. Same guy that created Node is the guy that's creating Deno. Projects was started last year in 2018. It's the same thing, right? It's JavaScript on the server side. So back-end processing using JavaScript. Now here's a change. Instead of being written in C++, it's being written in a more modern, and many argue a faster language called Rust. That's pretty cool stuff. Uses Google V8 engine, no change there. The dependencies. NPM is going away. We should all, yay, no more NPM, at least not if we're using Deno on the server side, right? And it does have a secure sandbox. Okay, so we're going to talk about all these details here. So, Ryan Dahl gave a talk in 2018 entitled 10 Things I Regret About Node.js. Now, I wish more people would be humble like that, right? This guy, I like Ryan Dahl because he is a straight shooter. I mean, he could be just been proud. I wrote, one of the most popular languages of all time on the server side, gained its popularity in less than 10 years, was near the top of the heap. But he went back and ripped it down and said, we're going to rebuild this because it's not good enough. And he listed 10 things that he didn't like, mistakes he made. Now, some of those things are being fixed in Node. Things like async await at root is being fixed in 11. But some of the stuff just went too deep. Some of the stuff went to the core of how Node was built. And he said, listen, this is not good enough. We're never going to modify Node to make something, this thing that could be like Node but better. And so we said, we're going to do a project. We're going to call it Deno. And of course, Ryan Dahl says, I want to do something cool. He'll whip out the checkbooks and say, here you go. We're going to support you. His company supports him to do these kind of things. And he started writing it. You look at the commits, like 90% of the commits on Deno are his alone. So I'm going to go through each of these. I'll list them quickly here. These are 4 of the most important differences between Deno and Node. We'll go into them in detail. Secure sandboxing by default. The V8 engine is secured as only native functions that are allowed are send and receive. Module systems of direct to URL. We're not doing any more NPM. And TypeScript is baked in. Who here has worked in TypeScript? Who here has heard of TypeScript? Okay, right. I learned TypeScript when I learned Angular, and I absolutely fell in love. So this is a good thing. One of the best things about TypeScript is Node.js, JavaScript, is TypeScript. You don't have to type anything, you don't have to use any of the features that TypeScript offers you. You can write vanilla JavaScript in TypeScript environment, and then just add the pieces you want as you go, make your code better. Okay, sandboxing. So what do I mean by sandboxing? Well, here is an example of some Deno code, right? Async function here that simply calls this code asynchronously, right? I'm going to set up a text encoder. By the way, no text goes through that hitting an encoder, so it's going to really cut down on injection attacks. I'm going to encode hello world. I'm going to write that to a file. You'll notice the Deno namespace here, right? So Deno has its own namespace, comes out of its own core files. So as opposed to FS, you would normally use something like this, right? File system, using Deno write file, hello.txt data, write file hello2.txt data. If you try to just run this on your system by doing Deno run write hello ts, you are going to get this. Deno requests write access to hello.txt, grant, yes, no. Right? By default, when Deno runs, it does not allow access to file system or to network. You have to explicitly allow it to read, to write, and to do network traffic. If you don't, it will ask you on startup. Right? The other way to do it is to do this, right? Allow write. And then just run, because you've given it the privilege. Now, I went a little deeper because my question was, okay, it's great if my file writes, but what if that plugin that someone else wrote has malicious code in it? There is actually a ticket that's currently open for applying sandboxing per module, which I think is pretty nice. It's going to be hard, but it is clearly an objective they have to allow only certain modules to be able to access the network or write. And if they can achieve that, you're going to have a much more secure system out of the box. All right, so in Node, you can just sort of do whatever you want to if you know how to do it into the V8 engine, right? You can tell it, do this, do that, change these flags, change these settings. In Deno, however, system calls to the V8 system are only done, never through a direct call, but only through message passing. And so I had a whiteboard here. I could say, if this is Deno and this is V8, there's an area here in Deno that allows access to V8, but everything has to pass through those corridors. And then Deno can do a very careful job of checking what is passing through there. Is it malicious? Is it going to break things? Is it bad? So all you can do is send and receive. And that gives Deno the power over all of your requests to the V8 engine. makes auditing easier. And I just thought that was incredibly funny. So, thank you, Jiffy, whatever you want. Okay, now we have to mock NPM install, right? The one on the right is my favorite. When I saw that, I laughed for like half an hour. And then cried. Right? So I'm like, why does Jenkins take so long to create the Kubernetes cluster? NPM install. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. Right? So the only video for me that's funnier than that one is the one where the guy is speaking in Spanish. They're talking. Have you seen that video? You see, it was on our Slack today. Someone posted it. This guy, he's I read about it. It's a meme where it's this Spanish community. He's laughing. He's missing teeth, and he's laughing in the interview. And they put like subtext. And he's like, yeah, they said release to production. Oh, that's the only funnier one I've ever seen. I laughed so hard for like the 5th time on that one today. So, in any case, now I don't know how much of this ultimately is going to be cut down through Deno. Yarn already does a better job because Yarn will cache things, and NPM is going that way as well, right? I think the intent is that the culture around Deno is going to be less, oh, I need these 6 lines of code, let me call this module, right? It's going to be, I'll just write it myself. I'm hoping that they're going to do a culture that way, because I did an install when it was, well, you'll see, in fact, I already cached, shoot, well, we'll see, maybe I can force a refresh if I do that. And you'll see, it does install like 25 things for 3 things, but whatever, they're pretty big things I'm installing. So, so this is what, no more require, we're using import for everything. It's an import test from, notice, right? This is a URL, okay? This is how you add things in a browser, right? A lot of the time, right? If you aren't doing like Webpack and that kind of stuff, right? So this is the Deno testing library, and that's how you would include things. All modules coming into Deno are going to come in via the URL, okay? That's how it's going to be done. It's caught and cached on the first execution and never updated until the code is run with the -- reload flag. And so you'll notice there's versioning baked into this one right here. Okay? So if you want the new one, you change that to the new number. It'll re-pull that one down, and then you'll have that new stuff running. TypeScript baked in. I couldn't find a great example of, like, I found 2 examples, and one of them was really heavy TypeScript. This one's not. The only TypeScript thing here is this, right? So if you have more TypeScript, it allows you to previously add a transpiler level to say this can only receive a string. But now that's getting baked into the compiler. Now, JavaScript, which underlies the whole thing in the V8 engine, doesn't know about types. But I can't tell you how many times my cookies have been saved by this. And if you're using a good editor, VS Code or WebStorm, something like that, how easy it is to hit period and have all the options float up that knows exactly what's in that object. You can just hit a couple letters and hit tab. TypeScript is wonderful. And it'll error, hey, that isn't an object, you can't do that. More than that though, TypeScript also has decorators. And so this is a TypeStat class validator. And instead of who's used Joy, J-O-I, for validation, right? Great validator. Man, it's kind of heavy, right? Doesn't look quite as deep, but with a decorator in TypeScript, I can say that this variable here has to be alphanumeric. I'll give you these spaces or periods can't go in there. Here I can just say matches, right? Here is number string, min max is email, right? So TypeScript lets you do all kinds of stuff. the interfaces, you get more true objects, things like that with TypeScript. And Ryan Dahl, like me, loves TypeScript, and he baked it right in. And so, the question is, what advanced JavaScript's going to win? I think this is the death knell of, what's the one that React used for a long time? Flow.
Flow prop types.
I think this is, if Deno goes, I think Flow goes with it. Besides React, all the jabbers been talking about TypeScript anyway of late. I think everything's. But
we're moving to TypeScript.
Are you the only one? Okay.
Projects now.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah. So I think TypeScript has won. Obviously, having Microsoft behind it doesn't hurt. I guess you have Google behind Flow, so it's not bad either. Okay. Yes. Question?
Oh, it's Facebook, not
Oh, is it Facebook and Flow? Yeah. Question.
Looked like you were importing what looked like a standard library from the URL. Is that not bundled with the install or runtime?
So as far as Deno, you mean?
Yeah.
So they have a lot of basic stuff, but some stuff will come in through libraries. I haven't dug real out. Deno's not even at 1.0 yet. So I've been researching it for several months now. I haven't actually written a full thing in it, except what I did today. So I'm going to review what I did today. I have my cheat sheet here, so I don't screw anything up too badly. So I would say that there's probably a few things less. Well, that was actually a type library, I think. No, it was a testing library. So you pull in something like Jest as well in JavaScript. So here's the frustration with my talk. You guys are all coming to learn a new language. Guess what, guys? It's Node. Really, it is, with a few changes. And I think, for me, that's the beauty. 95% of your Node code is going to come right over. Who here has heard of Koa? You heard of Koa? Anyone worked in Koa? I love Koa. You're gonna get to see some. Who works in Express? You gonna do Express? Okay. I'm gonna show you why you should abandon Express yesterday in a few minutes. I'll tell you why. I will convince you, but in any case, so okay, so it's great we have a great language, but is there a developing core ecosystem? Because I have the best language in the world, and I don't have any frameworks for it, any tools for it, right? We all know it's useless. So let's take a look and see what's out there. What I'm going to need personally, I'm an API builder. It's mostly what I do is build APIs for people. I need an asynchronous middleware system with a router. I need DB connectors. I need support for JOTs for security and other basics, right? So how does Deno answer this? So for the I don't know if Denotra's based on Sinatra, of course. If you're out of that world, that's fine. I don't know if it's async, but Oak is. I'm going to talk about Oak in detail in a couple seconds here. We have currently connectors from MySQL, Postgres, and Dynamo. I'm sure more are coming. Those are the ones that are stable enough to be listed. They have a basic JOT library that lets you validate, encode, and decode JOTs. That's all I really need personally. I don't have to do anything really fancy, usually. If you're a hardcore functional guy, we have Lodash, base64. We have Expect, which is the beginning of what will be Jest for testing. Some poor fool went through and imported Moment. Gosh, here goes 4 megabytes. I mean, Moment is marvelous, but it's so huge. Gosh, write a smaller one, please. SMTP, I'm going to do file watching. There's a watch library. There are several ORMs. There are tons of current projects. And to find out more, there's a GitHub page called Awesome Deno. And it just lists a lot of the current Deno projects, and you can pull them in pretty easily. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Koa, and there's a reason for that. You'll see in a moment. So, Koa. It is an asynchronous middleware framework for Node.js. Okay, this is what I use every day. I had to fight for it, but had to rewrite a project into it, but I got it into SkySlope, and they're very happy. For example, Datadog has a one-line plugin to implement Datadog in Koa. Anyone know this name? I just gave it out. Right? I can never pronounce his name. TJ, I call him TJ. The guy that created Express.
Is he one man?
What?
Is he one man now?
We don't know.
3 kids in a trench coat.
Yeah. So TJ, the guy that wrote Express, when ES6 came out, he said, just like Ryan Dahl did, I can't, the changes that I want to make in Node and Express go too deep. I cannot fix this. I have to start fresh. And he wrote Koa. Okay, so if you're using Express, you're using his 5-year-old framework. Okay? The goodness is so good in Koa. I'll just read this. Koa is a new web framework designed by the team behind Express, which aims to be smaller, more expressive, and more robust foundation for web applications and APIs. By leveraging async functions, Koa allows you to ditch callbacks and greatly increase error handling. Koa does not bundle any middleware with its core, and it provides an elegant suite of methods that make writing servers fast and enjoyable, all 100% true. Now, here's why I had to do this, because this has to happen twice in this talk. Oh, that's where it comes from, Koa. Okay, sorry, I get excited. Now, there are some things that would make a talk perfect. This is very far from a perfect talk, but what would be perfect is if TJ had written this as well. He didn't, so, oh well, okay. It's async middleware framework for Deno, created by Kitson Kelly. He's part of the Deno team. He's also a big contributor to the TypeScript library, number 3, I think, on TypeScript. Middleware framework for Deno. All right, I'm gonna grab a chair. We're gonna write the code a little bit. Let's grab this. Any questions, by the way? I've been kind of going straight through. Yeah.
The example you showed of locating the package through the URL,
Yes.
It has the version number in it and everything.
Yes.
Is there a way to do that like a package JSON? So you if I want to upgrade the version, I don't have to modify every file in my project?
So I believe oh boy. I don't know. It may be that the way Deno works, you pull them in your index or your server.ts file, and it pulls them all the way through. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
That has to be something, otherwise you couldn't move into production. So.
Yeah, you're right. What you'd have to do maybe is even abstract that and include that one file for everything else. So that'd probably be the way to do that. Move this over a little bit.
Probably do it on app settings and you read it as a string and have new objects.
Yeah, something like that. Let me see. This is, let me do this.
You have a Stack.js demo talk right now.
I do. Oh my goodness. I better get there. I'm in trouble.
Just put it on snooze.
Okay, let me quick keynote. Let me go into system preferences and don't update anything, please. Let me mirror. Where is mirror displays here? Displays. I did this earlier. There was a better way to do it. So let's go over here. Okay, is that maybe a little bigger? Is that too big? Is that big enough? Was it better before? Better before. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so what I've done is this is the basic oak example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through it real quick and help you understand one of the reasons why Koa is so great and oak is also so great and why oak has been ported, but Express has, or Koa has been ported, but Express hasn't. And they're very similar. You still have context, you still have next, right? So if you look at this up here at top, this just has an X here. And I don't know what that means. That's where you'd normally put the version. Maybe there's only one version of this so far, it's version X.
I think X is usually like user-lane stuff. I think it's
Okay.
similar to like Go's namespace.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. So we're pulling in Oak, and here we're firing off an async startup here. I am going to create an app from application, which is Oak, right? And then you guys are used, those of you who are used to Express are you're gonna see that we have here app use. And what this is this middleware. For those of you who haven't done this before, what this is each of these pieces are, every time a request comes in, there may be stuff above this, like for example, well, we'll do some stuff above here in a minute, but you only do this one time up here, right? You only load Oak one time. And down here at the bottom, this await app listen, it's not in an app use, right? So it's not gonna fire on every request, you do it one time, okay? But all the stuff here in the middle, you're gonna run through each of these whenever a request comes into the system. So what I'm gonna build is a really simple database connected application. It'll expose an API. Actually, it'll expose to anything. I'll show you that in a minute. Down here, response body. It'll respond to any route. With this one's hello world, I'm going to send back a random list of employees. Okay? Here's the interesting thing. Normally in Express, at the end of each function, you would call next. And what next means is, hey, the next app used here, this one here, is what next is. I'm going to call that. Then I'm going to do this, I'm going to call the next one, to that one, right? And you can call it sometimes early, if you want to skip some stuff, you can call it later if you want to. But look at this. I call it on the very first line of this function. It's kind of funny, right? But notice what I'm doing. Await next. What I'm saying is, pause the function of this app use, go do the next one down here. When you're done with this, finish this up. So one of the places that I use this is, anytime I write stuff that's sent to databases, I use database pool, right? So I'm going to be grabbing a connection from that pool. By the way, a little bit of advice from an old-time developer. The worst thing you can do repeatedly is connect to a database. It is awful slow. Okay, if you're trying to create a new connection, every time you touch your database, you are, I would guarantee if you start mapping out your timing over your spans and your usage, that 50, 60, 70% of your time is in that connection. Maybe as long as 0.8 of a second, a lot of times, really slow. If you get a pool of connections, you just grab them and release them back into the pool. So the beauty is, I can say, above the await next, grab my database connection, down here, release it, wrap it in a try catch. If I have one, release it. All right, if I error out, I can still release it. Another thing you can do, you can say, try await next, catch, and do all your error handling in one place. Any errors that bubble up to this next, and when they finish the await, they'll pop out, they'll catch the catch, and they'll process. It's beautiful. I mean, your code, I want to cry sometimes with that. It's so nice. So you can see down here, this is always the example people get, right? I'm going to have a constant called start, which is date now. Grab a timestamp when I start. I'm going to say await next, which will run everything down here. And then it's going to say const milliseconds equals date now minus start. So how long did it take to run this? Because I'm using async await, it pauses here while this runs. So I can get a true timing of this to this. And I can set my response headers, set my X response time to how long it took. right? Pretty slick stuff. So if you haven't used Koa yet, I would suggest that you use it. This is not Koa though, this is oak, okay? As you can tell from one thing at the top, this looks suspiciously like Koa, right? Because Deno is Node, really, with a few advantages. Security primarily, hopefully some speed stuff. Okay? Down here, I'm setting the response light to hello world, but let's make a couple changes. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is pull up my cheat sheet here because I don't want to type everything. And I want to grab this line of code. And I'm going to go to the top. And I'm going to pull in the MySQL client, right? I'm not using it yet. And where is my, so one of the things interesting is I use JetBrains stuff all the time. How long am I going too long?
I haven't been.
Okay.
You're good.
We're okay, good. Where is the terminal? Here it is, okay. Bring this up down here.
You can do a control field, I think.
Okay. So what I want to do, does someone remember what the command was? It reload?
Yeah.
Minus.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay, so in all honesty, it looks a little like an npm install, right? But there are some standard libraries coming in here as well, right? And so you don't have to include those if you don't want to. There's some file system stuff, some basic testing stuff, media types. So it looks like they've modularized that, which is going to make it great for tree shaking. I am guessing that Deno, the end result code is going to be really tight, not a lot of junk code in it when it's done. And it goes, oh, hey, you want to member, right? I did not allow for net. So I'll say no, and it's going to end. It's going to say I can't execute that. Okay, but let's get back into the code here. Okay, so up here inside the async, I'm going to be bad. This will not work. Do not do this in production. I'm going to create a single connection for the entire thing, which will eventually fail and bring the whole server down. I had to fix someone's code like that recently. So const MySQL equals await new client dot connect, and I do have a MySQL server on my box here. Host name is 127.0.0.1. This is all the boring stuff, sorry. That B probably shouldn't be capitalized, but I'm an old school guy, so bear with me. Okay. So there we go. So we've got a connection string for our connection objects for our database that should connect us. Okay, I think everything else stays the same. Down a bit. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to modify this piece here, kind of the final use. I'm going to do I know. I'm going to fix it. Well, no, I'm not going to fix that. I'm really old school.
Drop tables.
Yeah, little Johnny drop tables, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, this is not going into production. Something like that. Okay. So this should get me, now here's something interesting. I'm going to do this really quick, just to make sure we've done things correctly. Right, I'm going to see what I got back. Let's just do a console log of this. And I got to save in this one.
I think line 30 needs this async added.
What now?
I think line 30 needs async added, like,
Yeah, the CDX.
so you can wait, right? Yeah, wrap it.
Async.
Oh, right before the CDX, yes. How was that not there? Oh, I know why, because didn't need it before. Now I got the await. Yep, thank you. You're right.
I only caught it because I'm watching.
Okay, so we've already seen the sandboxing, right? So I'm going to put the allow net, allow write on here. And the allow write is because MySQL wants to write to a log file. So that's what it's doing. So if I run this, grab this, it's going to compile it. Why is that taking so long? Yeah, this is, I think, the newest generation. Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know what happened here. I'm going to reload again. That was weird. It was running, it ran great earlier.
It's the demo gods.
It's the Deno gods are not happy. That's right.
The demo
Demo.
I'm gonna stop my joke.
Let's see if we can get the error out here.
Are there any Deno devs in Reno?
It doesn't like that. Yeah, there's got to be some because it'd be too funny if there wasn't.
Maybe it's hiccuping because
It's
you
waiting.
killed him when it was downloading its packages the last time.
Did I kill it?
Maybe it's
Dash
trying the dash dash.
Let me try a reload in here. Yeah, let's try that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, since it's probably confused and
Yeah.
I think you
Probably didn't have
might
MySQL
need
package,
access.
right? The MySQL import.
Yeah, but it should have just pulled it in the first time. No. That's a good question because I added that after I did a reload, but it was there before. So maybe it was caught between like a reload and that may be a bug.
Didn't you say like no to the network access at some point with
Yeah, I did. I said no. I didn't say deny though, which would shut it off more permanently. So there it's pulling in MySQL. In any case, let me just tell you what it is that I was just going to show in this one little part of the demo here. This console log here, right here, it does not show values. When it shows the objects, it only shows the keys. It does not show the values in the objects. And I think it's because it wants to be more. I thought, well, what's going on? Where's my data? I would expect to see the data and the keys in there. But when I went, .id, it was there. It's just the console log. Well, you have to be very explicit in your console log, and maybe there's a way to turn that on. But I think that what Ryan Dahl is saying is that all parts of the Node ecosystem have potential security holes, and he wants to, by default, tighten every one of them up. I don't think
Are
that's
you sure
going
it's
to...
not just waiting for something to come from the browser? Because the last thing you did was
Oh,
wait.
you know what? It is, that's right. It just... And I did a reload. Oh, whatever. Thank you, because I had this problem before today. I thought, well, normally it says I'm done. Yeah, let's go
One
there.
more question.
Yes.
When you assign something to the body, is that what makes it send?
So let's talk about that. So what happens is, thank you. So this is the context. I set the response body, which is what should show in the browser. What's going to go back in the browser. There's no next here, right? So this function ends, and then everything up here after the await next runs, and then it goes up to the top. And when the top app use happens, that's when it goes back to the browser, right?
So it always returns, or
So unless you use like I used it process exit.
Right.
Unless you like shortcut out it. So think of
I see what you mean. It's running up to the back. So the await app listen, why does it pick that up?
Oh, this app listen happens once, right? Each of these app uses are what are run each time a call is made.
Right.
This here happens one time to make the server listen.
Right, so, and that links into the rest of the middleware then?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's all based on that.
Right.
So it's saying set up this use, set up this use, set up this use, set up this listen. Now I'm done, and when a request comes in, once I'm listening, once a request comes in, it will run through all my uses.
Okay.
Okay. So now, thank you so much. This dork. If I go over here and refresh, it came back with hello world, and there I go, right? I got my stuff. Pretty fast to go to a local server. It took me 12 milliseconds of time. And you can see I got my 10 things, but it doesn't show me the data. It's very interesting. So,
You could change that to a console on table, I think, and it might be more interesting because it'll output the.
okay. Ooh, let's try that. Oh, I had to hit a reload out of there. I think the local networks are perfecting those routes right now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Now I got data. Very nice. So it handles it differently than Node does. The console logs are the most common thing. You can't accidentally dump data out of an object. So I'm trying to figure out where am I doing this console table? Why is this running twice though? Runs once here and then a second time here. In any case, so I mean, my example here, I go and I go old school and I just build a table. We've done it in here. So everything else is just Node. So here, moving forward. So I could show you some TypeScript. I mean, I could say this is already defined. I could say something like.
First one pass through, end up at this point, and then do again. When it goes back, make the call.
I don't know.
Return isn't preserved.
I wonder if it's a
I need to do cons. There we are.
And return is
Yeah.
keyword.
Thank you. So there we go. So now we can. Right. So now I've said this is a string. And if I say, try to make this a 2, it's going to break, right? So, good stuff, right? So, and that goes very deep. You could have pieces from way out, and almost everything's been typed on the internet now for TypeScript. So, I found one thing. Yeah.
I like a series of like 5 questions.
Okay. Go. I am not going to guarantee you I can answer them, but shoot. Yes. Okay. Go for it.
One of the things that I have gotten the most excited about with like the adoption of TypeScript, especially within V8, that I'm really hoping Deno is able to do, is preheat the turbofan optimizer inside of V8. So V8 has the ability to take predefined shapes of objects and essentially optimize those calls.
Okay.
Has there been any mention of anything being done like that with Deno, given that they're using TypeScript?
I haven't, but I am guessing that's the kind of stuff that Ryan Dahl is going to be like all over.
And I'm sure that he already knows.
Yep. Yeah.
How is TypeScript configurations handled? One of the things that I just ran
Yeah.
into with doing type definitions is like ES module.
Yep.
It's actually impossible to use some type definition files without specifying compiler options. How does that happen?
So you can do a, what's the file used?
tsconfig.
tsconfig. You can do a tsconfig file if you want to, but there is a standard config that comes with Deno because it's baked in. They are working right now on a per module tsconfig because you might want to use different settings in different modules, and you might want to pull stuff in that doesn't use any settings, right? So they're actually working on where at the root level of each module, they can do a tsconfig file to configure the way it uses TypeScript. So that's going to be cool.
How does it have support, like built-in support for reflect metadata? I know that you showed off a package for what was the type annotations, which uses, I can't remember the name of the library, but the same guy also does.
You mean the app? You mean the?
It's the declaration.
Decorators. Yeah.
Decorators. But
Yep.
I know that one of the things that TypeScript enables that JavaScript does not natively have is the ability for what is metatyping, so the ability to get type information from that annotation. And that is in an ES Next thing, basically called reflect metadata.
Yes, I remember reading about that. It's coming in 11, I think.
Yeah, I know that you have to install NPM usually. You have to install package. Is that built in?
You know, I haven't researched that specifically. I don't know, you know, because they're starting from scratch, there's two things. First of all, things like async await are not going to be tacked on. They're in the core of the thing, which is why we're going to get root level. They finally fixed that in the next version of Node that's coming out.
I think it's even under a flag still.
It's under a flag still in 11, yeah, but it's coming. But I'm saying they're baking that in from the beginning. And so I think as you see Deno roll forward, that all of the goodness that is going to be in Node, and you have to realize, you know, they're very close. So when they wrote the core for Node, they just kind of wrote their own way. This is not answering your question, but I think it's something good to know. Ryan Dahl and his team fell in love with the way Go does stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're actually, if you want to submit modules for Deno, the fastest way to get them accepted is to basically go find the Go module and copy what they've done. They're going to be like, "Oh, you're on." You know?
With the standard package.
Yeah, you're going to get PR accepted right away because they love the way Go does stuff. Because Go has, I don't think there's been a language maybe ever that got as much love as Go in creation. I mean, the community just went nuts over Go. And so there's a lot of love in the way that each of the modules are crafted for it, each of the pieces. And so they're really trying to channel that in this project. But to get back to your question, I don't know the specific answer to that. I remember being excited when I read about that, and then I forgot what it was, and I got excited again just now because I have to look it up again. But that is the kind of stuff that is I think, because they can start from scratch, thinking, oh, reflect metadata is something we have to aim for. They can build their core services with that in mind from the beginning. And so I am sure something like that, whatever Node is going to do, I think Deno is going to do, and it's going to do it better. It may not be in version 1, because there's probably a bit of work, but the hooks will be there for it, I'm sure.
And then last question. I know that NPM is working on a very similar version of what is being done here with the loading of the URLs. I know there's also been frustration from the TypeScript team themselves regarding how both NPM and Yarn are handling that separately for like the live module installation. Are you familiar with what Deno is doing in order to either standardize or to like work with other teams to make sure that there's no drop issues?
Yeah, there's a very simple answer to that. There are no other teams. So the package manager is Deno.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if you look at the internal compiler, like the tool sets for either IDEs or even just TypeScript language extension itself, there's been a lot of lament regarding how the package manager, regardless of whether it's Deno or NPM or Yarn, the way that they handle some of the like nuances.
Okay.
Has there been like crosstalk between Deno and Yarn or Deno and NPM?
So you're saying which way are they going?
Either which way are they going, or is there like an insurance that they're standardizing with the other groups in some form?
So I think they are specifically avoiding standardization with the other groups. So I'm sure they're going to have to choose a way to do things. But my feeling is, as I've looked at Deno and studied it, is that they are seeking to distance themselves from that whole ducks running thing, right? And from the whole, oh, we know we've got Yarn, and for a long time Yarn was saying, oh, we're just going to follow NPM and do their thing, but do it better, and then NPM said, no, we're going to do it better, and the Yarn's going to go our way now, and all of that is just causing havoc right in the world, and so I don't know, so it's kind of a real specific question that we could look up after the talk, but just in general, Deno is saying there will never be two or any other package managers than us. We're handling that internally, and the way we do it is going to be the way it's done. period, right? We're not gonna allow someone else to do a package manager for us, because we're gonna hit directly from URL, nothing else can happen below the box, right? We're gonna shortcut the whole thing. So I don't know the details of that, but yeah, so good questions though, thank you. Yes?
I have a couple also. So what's your sense of when it will be production ready? Or
So I asked them that on Twitter, let me see if they answered.
Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah. You know, if you asked me when my project's going to deliver, I'd say sometime in the next 3 to 9 months. We're not logged in here? Oh, shoot. I thought I was logged in. Maybe I'm on the computer. Someone want to go to Twitter and just look at NBunny, NBUNNEY, and see if they replied to me? I should have checked that today.
By the way, since you mentioned Go, there's a similarity between importing stuff in Go and importing stuff to the URLs here. Go does it directly from like GitHub link.
Yep.
Go get.
Yep.
Yeah, do you know if there's a lock file as well? Is there a lock file or is that all just made?
You know, I read some stuff about that today, and so my question is, okay, they did answer. V1 is weeks to months away still. We're missing some major features. You can follow progress here. So if you look at NBunny, go and follow me. I never post anything, so it's totally safe to follow me. I use it for this only. So they're saying weeks to months, depends on how fast their people are doing. Is that from Ryan, from ARM? Oh, Nibbon, okay. Good.
that's good. Weeks to months.
Weeks to months, so it's not like, so what they had said is, earlier in the year they had said, we're aiming to release by the end of summer. Well, that would have been Sunday, was the end of summer officially, right? They didn't make it, but sounds like they're still trying to hit before the end of the year is their objective, I think. But if not, it'll be early next year, version 1.0. You know, is your VP of engineering going to let you write stuff in Deno in version 1.0?
Yes.
Probably not. 1.3 maybe. Yes.
Is the current version for testing viable enough to use it for some kind of open source contribution? Like basically, like what I think right now is an opt-in for GraphQL with Deno and Oak instead of Node and Express. So
That
is
would
it
be
viable enough to work with, or is it
So-
you must wait for?
You saw the command line though, right? Like it's working.
It's working.
It's working. The problem is, what they're saying is that some of the core functions could go through enough changes to break your code still before release, right? So it could be that number of arguments could change on things, or type of arguments, order, all of that kind of stuff. Until they hit 1.0 is up in the air. So if you don't mind rewriting minor rewrites like that, probably meaning they're at version 14, I think, or 13, somewhere in there, 0.13, I think. So, you know, I mean, I've seen things go to 0.243, but, you know, the feeling is if they say potentially weeks to months, that it's probably pretty stable. And you'll kind of know, I'm sure that the most core things that you would use for a GraphQL interface,
Wouldn't that be sweet? Yeah, I was thinking about that. Because I was looking for it initially because I thought that it was already released.
Hang on.
Like the version was already released.
So,
They probably
Hey,
wait
it's an
for
open source
QA.
project right there.
there it is, that's right. So there is, where is it here? Where's Awesome Deno? I should just search for it, shouldn't I?
It's at the bottom of the
Bottom here is just Awesome Deno.
That's it, okay. Yep. So,
No
no
I
GraphQL.
looked everywhere. I couldn't
Did you? Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, how hard would that'd be? Oh,
It
hey.
can't be crazy difficult because everything's already done with Node and Express. So, I mean, the translation of that, obviously, but
Well, boy, you get the
like
async goodness too.
Angular 1 to React 16.
That's true.
And that was actually my next question, was it, you were talking about rewriting to Deno, right?
Yeah.
So is it just like the core node modules that you have to worry about? Is it like change everything from fs.write to deno.write or whatever?
Yeah, well, obviously all that has to happen because the same modules don't exist. There's new modules and probably new ways of hitting those modules. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think production for open source, maybe how much is going to be written, what's not there. He gave me a link there on Twitter that was sort of track the progress, so you can see what's missing and what they need to have done. So basically, probably if you're not touching those things, you're probably going to be safe. That'd be my guess. So, yeah. Hey, let me just mention one more thing, and I'll take a couple more questions before we're done. If there are more questions. I have run many hackathons down in Modesto. And I'll just mention this. This is the crowd. I always like to see if people are interested. What we've done in the past is raise money from people like SkySlope and other large companies around here. It's not terribly hard to do. Last year in Modesto, we had $5,000 in cash prize money we gave away. We had another $3,000 in prizes, most of which was given away randomly by drawing to people that were there. So people walked out with, badass keyboards and widescreen TVs and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the way we do hackathons, they're 24-hour. We do them hardcore so that you can be ready for work again on Monday, but you're not ready for the hackathon. We start Friday night and we end Saturday night. 24 hours, we're usually in a place like this with couches so you can crash out. Who would be interested in, if we did that here in Sacramento, participating in an event like that? So it's a pretty good crowd.
There was a pretty good turnout for Sac Hacks
Okay.
last year, which was like one of the first major hackathons I've seen Sac.
Yeah. So what we do, by the way, is we don't take sponsors that say we want you to do this. We have, so hackathon projects have been things like a dream analyzer that used Google DeepMind to make pictures from your dreams. We had winner a couple years ago was a mental health Alexa app that you could talk to that would talk to you in your morning to make sure you had a shower and you'd gotten up out of bed and gotten dressed. So it's basically teams of one person to 4 people. Zero, yeah. Those projects do
All my side projects. Just called CP.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that was a true programmer, right? Counting always begins at 0, right? So there it is, 0 to 3 plus 1, or minus 1, or plus, like months.
Dot shift.
You go that shift, yeah. So, good. It depends on. I need to get moved up here and that kind of stuff before we do it. But we've done them before. We've hit 100 people in Modesto, which is not bad for Modesto. Had people come up from Fresno. So I will let you guys know through the website when they give a date, usually in January, late January for Modesto. It's not that far of a drive, great event. And then we'll get some of them to come up here and join us up here in Sacramento. Maybe, thinking maybe March of next year could be time to finish up, get moved and plan it. So, all right. Any more questions about Deno? All right. I didn't get as deep as I had hoped, so just go research for yourself. Maybe we can create a Deno channel for people who want to talk about Deno stuff on JS Sac Tech. That'd be fun. All right. Well, thank you for your attention and time, guys. And I will say that there's still food here, there's still some drink there, and there's still people here to talk to. So, and by the way, let me just add this. Hey, go ahead and push it.